welcome to the 26th episode of the Reframe podcast. Today's episode is inspirational as always, but it is very exciting as well because my guest today is the youngest guest on the podcast yet. At just 20 years of age, he has realized the importance of creating meaningful business relationships, and he's doing an amazing job in bridging the gap between talent and mentorship. Joining us from the United States is Marwan Abdelhamid, a young and talented student come entrepreneur working hard in bringing communities together on a global scale. Before we begin, as always, we'd really appreciate a rating on iTunes and a sub to our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to the podcast on all major streaming platforms. Please help us get the message across by sharing this in your network. And let's get into the 26th episode of the Reframe podcast with Marwan Abdelhamid. Hello, COVID enthusiasts, and welcome to another episode of the Reframe podcast. And right off the bat, this is one of my most favorite episodes, even before we've started, because the person that I am in meeting today on the show is basically it's like a melting pot of why I started this podcast in the first place. So we've been talking about this in all our episodes, that the purpose behind our podcast is to collect stories, inspirational stories from people who are making a difference in the society and inspire our younger generation to see how these things come together, how people can come together and make a positive change in the society around them. And that's somebody that I have today on the show today, a young, less than half my age, actually, a 20-year-old kid, I would say. Please welcome Marwan.
Thank you
Hi,
so much. Hey,
Marwan.
that's very nice of you. Very nice of you. I
No,
appreciate
I'm
that.
really
Appreciate the
excited, and
introduction.
thank you for reaching out, actually, because when we spoke earlier, I was so excited because it's like finally getting through to the kind of generation and people that I want to get through to.
Okay.
So
Yes.
Marwan, let's begin right away. I know you have a phenomenal story behind you, and I know we have a lot of good things to share in the episode. And let's start off with a little bit of background. So you're just 20 years old, you're still studying, and so why are you thinking on the lines that you're thinking? We'll go through it more. We'll deep dive into it during the episode, but just
Of
let's
course.
do a quick run through around it.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And I'll tell you a bit about myself. So, my name is Marwan Abdelhamid. I'm Palestinian. I was born in Jerusalem, lived in Gaza until 2007, and then we moved to Jordan. I grew up in Jordan, graduated high school, and came to the US to study. And, you think about opportunity. What is
Mhm.
opportunity? Opportunity is something that's not afforded to everyone. And I think it's such a shame, right? It's such a shame that people don't have the kinds of opportunities that I was afforded, which is one of the main reasons why I got into social entrepreneurship, why my purpose in life is to give back to my people and to make alleviate suffering and to make the lives of other people better. Because to
Mhm.
be honest, that's what drives me. And I hope to be able to inspire other people to do the same because, you know, the cool thing about social entrepreneurship, it's a very transformative concept. The fact that you can make profit without without your shareholder value being the main thing that's driving you, or the profit, or the margins. It's more about the impact that you're
Mhm.
having. That's what it's all about. So we really focus on how much impact are you having, but at the same time we can sustain ourselves.
Right.
That's really a model that is, I think, very new. And
Mhm.
it's something that this generation, my generation, who has grown up in a world that is so connected, where you can go on your phone and you can empathize with someone in Haiti that has just
Right.
suffered from an earthquake, or you can go Hong Kong and you can see the protests, or you can go wherever. So we are really the generation, I call it, of empathy. We can see things, we can feel things. And so that's why I think social entrepreneurship, and I call it transformative entrepreneurship, that merge with technology, it's huge, I think, in my opinion.
Great. But we'll come and we'll talk a little bit more detail about what your aspirations are and what you're doing right now, your startup, and how it's going to change the world, inshallah. But
Inshallah.
I really want to connect you as I know kids your age.
Okay.
You're not much older than my own son, honestly.
Okay.
So why not? So what got you into this in empathetic feeling? What got you into, wanting to make a change rather than enjoy your life? Be a so-called gamer with a YouTube channel or those kind of things. So what is different? What made you different from the others around you?
Well, that's very nice of you. First of all, I appreciate that. I would say a big part of it, number one, is obviously growing up in Gaza. You grow up
Mm,
in Gaza and you see injustice. When injustice is around you and you're in a position of privilege, there's two routes. There's number one, okay, I have privilege, I'm not going to do anything. Or I
mm,
have privilege, I'm going to use my privilege to make a change. And that's the route that I chose. And I think that's the route that people should be choosing, because if you just say, oh, like, yes, or some people don't even acknowledge their privilege, first of all. But it's very important. I think for me, it's just being Palestinian. As a Palestinian, you have a responsibility to the world to stand
right,
up to injustice wherever you are.
right.
That's not, it's something that comes with being Palestinian. Just
Mm,
that's the way that I see it, and that's the way that all the Palestinians see it in the world. And
mhm.
so I also, a big part of it is my mother. My mother has been standing up to injustice for over 30 years,
Wow.
and she raised me to be this way. She raised me to not see people based on religion, gender, ethnicity, race, but just as human beings. And I didn't understand that until recently, the fact that she did this subconsciously and taught me to love and to not hate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Yes.
All right, great. So now let's move on to what your startup is about and what are your plans? How is it? How do where do you see it? Typical
Okay, thank
question.
you
Where
so
do you see
much. Yes.
yourself in 5 years?
5 years. Okay, I'll tell you. But first, I will backtrack. I'll tell you because I don't know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So
Right,
that's a
of
big
course.
ask. But
That's the fun in being an entrepreneur.
oh, 100%, 100%. So basically, Grow Home is the name of my startup. And so we were talking about being Palestinian. I am a Palestinian diaspora. So I am a
Mm,
Palestinian that has been displaced from their country of origin. That's the meaning of the word diaspora. And as a diaspora, in like Palestinian diasporas, there's around 11 million of us around the world. And you go to any single Palestinian in the world that's not living in Palestine and you tell them, do you want to help Palestine? And they'll tell you, of course, please. But we're very restricted in the ways that we can actually help. There's petitions, there's, you can post on your Instagram story, spread awareness,
mm,
but it's, to me, it's not enough. That's not enough, and it's never been enough. And so we started to think, so me and my co-founder, what's the best way that you can help out at home, and how do we make that happen the easiest way? We realized, as entrepreneurs ourselves, because we had tried to start a company before, etc., and we failed miserably. But we realized that one of the best things you can do is to support emerging entrepreneurs in your home country, because you already understand.
right,
So if you can connect diasporas, successful diasporas, there's so many Palestinian business executives working at Google for some reason. There's a lot of them.
right.
Imagine you could connect that Palestinian business exec with an entrepreneur living in Gaza that is looking to expand to
That's
a
a great
market,
idea.
and the power behind that concept of connecting two people that are already connected on an emotional level, but they've just never met each other. So
Right.
the concept of connecting them, but connecting them because they like to do something, to there's a common purpose, which is, we're creating something, we're creating a product, we're creating a movement. It doesn't
Mm,
matter. But the fact is that diasporas, we've never been told that we're important. So I've never personally felt like, as a Palestinian living outside of Palestine, I have a role to play. Never. But you look at it, how did China become such a beast in manufacturing? How did India build up its IT sector? How did Northern Ireland bring peace? It's all the diaspora. They
right,
engaged their diaspora in a spectacular way. How did Israel become the startup nation?
right.
It
Of
might pain
course.
us to say, but they are a very good example of mobilizing the power of the diaspora. And so,
Right.
as Palestinians, we have this huge network of Palestinians that are very powerful and are looking to help. So what we decided to do is to create a platform that called Grow Home, where people in the diaspora can come and find opportunities back home. So as
Mm,
an entrepreneur, I'll tell you a bit of the logistics. As an entrepreneur, you would come in, make a profile, and then so you have your startup. But let's say you're looking for, you want someone to help you with research, you want someone to help you with a bit of marketing, you need some legal advice here, you also need a business mentor and maybe a pre-seed investment. Okay, post all of these things, and then it goes out and our algorithm sort of pushes it out to these different diasporas who will then look and be like, oh my God, I can help you with marketing and I'm actually making a change now. I'm getting involved back home. I'm going to help
Right.
this person create a startup in Palestine, generate revenue. We're going to do something together. And then you've created a long-term sustainable relationship where people are making money and people are
Mm.
involved with one another, which is such a cool concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. It does. It's a great concept. So, have you launched any prototype yet, or
So
you're just
right now
yeah?
we're in MVP stage. Right
Right.
now we're creating our minimum viable product, which will be like a web app. We are pre MVP because we got tired
Mhm.
of waiting. We're doing this thing called Palestinian Grow Home Pitch Nights. So it's kind of modeled after Shark Tank.
Mhm.
And basically, we're inviting 3 Palestinian entrepreneurs. They're going to come pitch, and the audience will be diasporas. Hopefully,
Mhm.
people that are involved, etc. So diasporas, and the goal is to do exactly what we want to do on Grow Home, but just do it even before the platform. So we want to, so the entrepreneurs will come, they'll be like, okay, I need a contact in Saudi Arabia because I'm trying to expand there. I need someone to, a TikTok star. I have a following on TikTok. So I always say this, I need someone on TikTok to help me promote my business. And then
Right.
hopefully we'll be able to make those connections off the bat, even without the platform, which will show that the platform is going to work.
Right. That's great. And then
So
later on, this can be expanded onto all kinds of, diasporas around the world, around different countries and all,
that's the
right?
beautiful part. The beautiful part is that Grow Home is not restricted in its capacities. It's scalable to every single country in the world that has a diaspora population and that has an emerging. I always say this, wait until we hit Nigeria, wait until we go to Somalia. Just wait. India. It's the potential is insane. We're starting in Palestine because I'm Palestinian. We have the contacts there. We're doing Palestine and
Right.
Jordan as our piloting. But yeah, I mean Morocco. It's just big
That's
potential.
great. That's great. Marwan, I always talk to a lot of youngsters like you, and I talk to a lot of startup entrepreneurs. And the one thing that I always say is that, the drive and the passion has to be something extremely close to your heart for it to work, because there are tremendous amount of challenges when you enter the wonderful yet painful world of entrepreneurship, right? So there are
Yes,
challenges every day, but what keeps you going is your passion, actually.
I
And
agree.
and I see that passion in you, and I see that you've thought of the impact of your product in the long run, right? So it's not like a quick win, get rich overnight, quick kind of a formula. It's actually to help people build a better society around it, right? Marwan, I want to talk a little bit about your while you were growing up, or maybe I mean even now during your university life or your friends and colleagues. What are your views about mentorship? I'm sure you would have somebody who guides you. Do you believe in mentorship? Do you have a mentor of your own, or do you want to share anything, which is noteworthy in terms of your success that your mentor guided you towards?
So yeah, thank you for your question. If I didn't believe in mentorship, I wouldn't be starting Grow Home because honestly, I
Of course.
believe in people helping people. You know, it's truly phenomenal. Just one phone call can change someone's life. I always say this: opportunities, they're not attached to clouds; they're attached to people. And so, if you can democratize opportunity in that
Yeah.
sense, then you've won. For me, you've won.
Hmm.
And I'm a big believer in mentorship because I'm 20 years old and I might think I know everything, but or I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this and I know what's gonna happen in this, but someone that's someone your age knows much more than me. Like I just straight up, you just know more, you are more experienced, you have and you have a lot to offer, and it's really cool because it's um it's not transactional. So I can give you a lot as a mentor and you can give me a lot. It's
True.
really cool. I do have a mentor, and he always says, I see myself through you. So that's why I'm doing this, because now I'm kind of taking back, relaxing. I've done this thing for so long. I want to live through you now, and I'm going to give
Mm.
you all the tools to succeed, which is, I think, so incredible. The concept, just like, you're just going to help me succeed. Like, that's what you want to do. And he's like, yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
want to
and it's
do.
so
And so,
selfless.
exactly, but it also, it's very fulfilling, I think, for the
Yeah.
mentor, because you see the benefit, or the you can see the benefits that I have just from what you're telling me. It doesn't cost you anything, right?
Mm.
You're just literally giving me advice. Telling me this and that, and then you're helping me grow as a person. So imagine everyone in Gaza that's trying to start a startup had a very successful mentor, like from Silicon Valley or from Australia. Imagine, and we already in Gaza, we have a huge entrepreneurial ecosystem. There's this business incubator, or they're like a program. It's called Gaza Sky Geeks. And in
Hmm.
Gaza, since you can't import, you can't export, we're very, very limited, and there's a lot of restrictions on us. What we do, and which is crazy to me, we started exporting technology, because that's the one
Yeah.
thing that they can't ban. We
Yeah.
started creating coders, software engineers. We bypassed the system. You know what I mean? It's crazy. No, it's crazy. Like, you go to Gaza, there are so many software engineers. And so it would be like, the goal with Grow Home is to connect people that care about each other and that are looking to create something big, and hopefully we can inspire people to look past, just creating a normal business and seeing the potential in social entrepreneurship, even if, there's, because a lot of the times people are like, oh, well, you're just helping businesses, you're falling into the capitalist agenda. And I'm like, bro, people are trying to live, people are trying to eat, you know
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you can't tell them, oh, you're not supposed to be making money. Like, I literally, yesterday we were on the phone and someone was telling us, you should, you're not, you guys, since you guys you're not non-profit, you're not serving your
Mm.
customers to the best of your ability, you guys should be a non-profit. And I told her, I was like, I don't want to be dependent on a donor. Excuse me. That's my one thing. I was like, excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't want to be dependent on anyone. I want to be able to make money and pump it back into what I want to do. Where I'm not trying to make the, I mean, I hope I don't come off that way, but my intentions are pure in the sense that the money I'm making is going directly. I'll tell you the plans for the future. After this platform, we're looking to establish physical incubators in refugee camps. So I want to create business
Oh,
incubators
wow.
because to be a refugee is to be an entrepreneur, in my opinion. And these people are some of the most brilliant minds. They just have
Mm.
no opportunities. They have no one that's actually pushing them. Imagine you had
Right.
the infrastructure of Silicon Valley and you put it in Zatari camp, the Syrian refugee camp in Jordan. They would eclipse Silicon Valley in 2 seconds. I swear. It's just
Mm.
about opportunity. So
That makes a lot of sense. Marwan, okay, let's talk a little bit about, you know, when we talk about startup world, the challenges that people face. You are entering this field now, and then, hopefully it's going to take some time till you have your MVP out in the market, then you get your
yes,
fundings, then you have a mature product, and then you expand. It's a long journey, right?
yes,
So there's one very important thing that I always talk about is how do you push yourself each and every day and be consistent and
mm,
remain motivated, right?
mm,
So one
amazing.
aspect is, yes, you want to help the world, you want to create a change, right? But on a personal level, you need to be there are multiple facets of it, and we'll go through this in short detail, one by one. But most important, I believe, is your self motivation,
Yes,
right?
I agree.
Where have
I
you
agree.
found your self motivation?
Amazing. The self motivation, number one, it comes from people that I love telling me that they're proud of me. That's for me. I think success is defined by the like people that you love telling you and validating what you're doing. So if my mom tells me that I'm doing something good, that is enough for me. You know. But also at the end of the day, the mission that I'm on is so much bigger than myself.
Hmm.
And a lot of people, I think, struggle with finding a purpose. And I'm very lucky to have found mine at a super early age. You know, so that's
Yeah.
not it's not hard for me to be motivated. I wake up in the morning and I'm happy. I'm so happy to wake up in the morning. I'm like, let's go. Another day. We're gonna do this. We're getting closer and closer. And before, I used to always think, oh my god, this is so annoying. I can't wait to make it. But now
Right.
I feel like it's the journey. I mean, I want to live in the moment. It's been a struggle for me because I'm always in the future, and so I don't
Mm.
enjoy the present. So now, what I'm like, for example, maybe before I would have like this podcast, I would have seen it as like, oh, I'm gonna use this podcast so I can get bigger and I can do this. But now I'm like, oh, I'm so happy to be just present, alive, talking to a very seasoned entrepreneur. This is how much better can life get right now? You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. And you're doing this while you're studying as well, right?
Yes, yes,
All right. That takes me, I want to segue into another very important point that people miss out, and that is time management. And I say this from my experience, managing multiple things as well, and
yes.
my personal as a career being an executive coach, is that people don't value time enough, and
Mm,
they don't realize where they're losing time. So if you've got that covered for yourself, keeping in mind your studies and your passion and the amount of work, effort, energy, everything is required by your new startup, you know if you're not able to do it properly, then you're going to slow down slowly, 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 and lose your energy and fizzle out,
yes.
right? So
Yeah.
I want to take your lessons and push them on to, explore it out in the world for other youngsters around your age,
Okay.
who are getting into practical life, just
Mm,
somebody straight from the horse's mouth, somebody of their age. We
mm,
say that people older to us, they always come back and say, hey, we've seen the world, we've gone through this experience, trust me, we're telling you. But I've been through this, you're going through this. If somebody
yes.
comes and tells it to you, you would never agree until you experience it, right?
100%.
So
And
maybe, yes. So maybe
I think
somebody
that's what,
like yourself can explain it better to your age group.
yeah, no, definitely. And the cool thing is, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I have no clue. All of this is literally just like the cool thing is that I don't pretend to know what I'm talking about. You know, it's not like I'm telling you, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. This is what I've done. This is what works for me, and people find inspiration from that. For example, on TikTok, so I have a following there. I have almost 40,000 followers, and
Oh, great.
I I do yeah, it's pretty cool. And I used to do this thing like a day in the life vlog, and I
Mm-hmm.
would vlog my routine in 60 seconds, what I do in a day. And people were like, Marwan, you inspire me a lot from these vlogs because you're being so productive and you have a purpose and your startup, it's so cool. And you know what, I'm going to start going to the gym.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I mean, I didn't tell you to go to the gym, you just went. And that's what I feel for me is cool, because uh, a lot of the times people get turned off when it's like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, or else you're not gonna. For me, it's just like, this is what I'm doing. Go ahead if you like it. If you don't like it,
Hmm.
but the one thing I will say though that works for me,
Hmm.
there's three pillars. There's there's a hobby, which for me is music. I rap. I have
Oh,
like a
great.
little music career. So it's like the hobbies for me is music and
Uh-huh.
Palestinian activism, and then what makes you money, which is the startup for now. And then also I go to the gym. I have to work out, or
Right.
else like that just helps me keep sane. I try to meditate sometimes, it doesn't always work, but for
Hmm.
me working out is really like essential. Like I have to, it's annoying, I get annoyed if I don't work out in a
Hmm.
day, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it just helps me keep things balanced. So for people my age, what I would say is you need to find, and people my age, some people don't know what they're going to do with their lives, and that's so normal, right? But what I
Right.
would say is you have to start exploring your options. You have to
That's
start
what I
thinking,
wanted to come to. Yeah.
yeah,
Explore and discover.
you have to start thinking, because if you're only worried about, oh, what am I going to go do on Friday, and who am I going to go see, and because that's how I was, I was just like, oh my god, like who am I going to see, like am I going to look cool in front of these people? And then I found a higher purpose, obviously, which has been there all along, but
Hmm.
I didn't have. And that's the thing, like people helped direct me because they saw the potential. I wouldn't have been able to do this by myself. I always say this: if I stayed in Gaza, I would for sure not be where I am today. And I just had, and it's not anything to do with Gaza, but like just there's no opportunities there. So I just
Hmm.
had that one opportunity. I took it and I ran with it. People directed me. They saw the potential. So my purpose is to give that to everyone else, to democratize opportunity.
Right. It does take one good opportunity to actually make something out of you. And then you should feel privileged and you should be grateful and thankful that you got that opportunity. You got that privilege. You got that opportunity to study where you're studying, meet the people that you've met, and then realize what your purpose is, grand purpose in life is. But just as maybe as an older brother, my advice would be, keep a close eye on your productivity and on yourself, because as time progresses and as you go into more and more responsibilities, both professionally and personally, you don't realize where you start leaking those energies. I
Yes.
always talk about.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
that's amazing because my mentor told me, he said, you have to get to a point where you're only doing the things that you can do.
Right.
All the other things, that shouldn't be, you shouldn't be doing that. You, if you like a bit what did he say? He said a financial report, this, that's not you, Marwan. You can do that, sure, but that's not you.
Yeah,
And
that's
that was,
that's a kind of a thing that entrepreneurs really get into, really to save some finances, of course.
of course, of
So
course.
we've got to do a little bit of development. Okay, let me learn something. I've got to do for my finances, my taxes. How difficult is it going to be? Let me look at some YouTube tutorials. Oh, wow, let me make my own ad and do my own marketing, those
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
for
things.
sure, for sure.
So
But
but you end up wasting so much time and energy into it that you lose focus from your main goal. And that's the thing, you need to put a stop and be able to realize where you need to outsource things or give it to
yes,
other people, which I mean, if they're good at it, they're eventually going to help you build your product, right?
exactly. What else, another thing that I would say for people my age that are struggling with purpose
Hmm.
is to just find a problem. You find the problem, and then you can solve it. That's the crazy thing about human beings, is that we're like solution based. And this is my problem with the education system, is that
Mm-hmm.
it's really, it's about like a transfer of knowledge, you know. But the thing is, now we have all that knowledge at our fingertips. So why do I have
Right.
to be like, why do I have to take an exam and retain all that information when I can literally look it up on my phone? Do you know
Don't
what I
say
mean?
that. Don't say that. You push. You're driving
Well,
kids out of school.
but no, no. The thing is, I'm saying there needs to be a lot of reforms, because now the world has shifted, but the education system stayed. Now, in my opinion, and this
Yeah,
is
that
also
I
one of
agree.
my plans in life, is to open up, leadership universities that teach soft skills, that teach public speaking, networking. We never are taught networking, but it's the most, I think, in
Yeah,
my opinion, it's one of the most important skills you can have. But we're never taught or
yeah.
marketing, even networking.
And interesting thing is, soft skills have always been looked at as something so puny, so worthless, that people would think, oh, this guy is a soft skills trainer. I mean, anybody can do that. Oh, you're going to a soft skill training. You're going to waste your time. Things like that. But what we realize now is soft skills are what are actually required to be built into people, and things like networking is a pure soft skill, right?
Yes,
So you got to learn that. You got to learn to be able to interact with people. And I say, with this generation, you guys are built with a camera in front of you, with a phone in front of you. This is a digital generation. People from my generation had to grow into it, had to learn it. We were
yeah,
lucky enough because we saw the evolution, we saw the advent and then the evolution and the growth of the digital technology. But then we had to force ourselves into being comfortable with technology.
I agree.
But the
And I
new
think
generation,
for us, it's
yeah,
gonna be VR. For my
yes, yes,
generation, we're gonna have to learn VR. you
yes.
know?
But what I feel is now that here's the challenge. So because of this technology and because of the ease of connection, physical boundaries have expanded. Physical connections are going, extinct, right? So
Okay.
where there is an advantage of technology, you and I sitting on the opposite sides of the world, 12 hours apart, and being able to connect seamlessly. But at the same time, we both of us, we need to have our physical connections as well, right? And that's what is
Yes.
missing. And as I mean, pandemic is not doing any favor in that respect. But But otherwise also these things are slowly dying. And I think youngsters need to look into it. They need to learn, they need to, we keep on saying, step out of the digital world for a little bit.
So can I tell you say something about that? A point
Yeah,
about that.
sure.
A lot of the times, and I was same with me. We are blamed for the fact that we spend too much time on our phones. What our parents don't understand is that these social media apps, which is what most people do, this is a drug, right? It's designed to keep you on. The algorithm is designed to keep you on as long as possible.
Right.
They measure their success based on the time spent. They're vying for your attention, and they
Of course.
use these little neurological tricks to say, "Oh, I know that this is gonna send a bit of dopamine here. He's gonna check his phone. He's gonna do this." And to be honest, it's not our fault. It's not our fault that we, at a young age, we've fallen for these tricks. But
Right.
now there's a shift away from that. Now there's something called humane technology, right? And this is a
Mhm.
very relatively new concept where success isn't measured based on time spent, but time well spent. And I think that's Grow Home, that's the forefront of the mission, is that we're not going
Right.
to measure our success based on how much time you spend on Grow Home. It's how well was your time spent. You can come two
Right.
minutes and you created a connection with someone, amazing. That's for me, that's success. And that's the shift away. There's humane technology. People are starting to understand that there's something other than profit.
Mm.
Companies like Facebook are too big. Like people are starting to realize this. And
Yeah.
it's very important for us now as a generation to rise up to the challenge and to not
Mm.
fall into the cycle and to say, no, we want to do things differently, which is why social entrepreneurship is such a crazy concept for
Right.
me. You know what I mean?
Mm. Right. Great. Marwan, it was a pleasure having you, and we could have gone for hours talking about this, but then, we've got to keep our episode listener friendly. Thank you so much. Go check out the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, guys. It's called the Reframe Podcast. We're available on all major podcast channels: iTunes, Google Podcast, Spotify. In Middle East, there's Angami, Stitcher, everywhere practically you can think of, and of
Yes.
course on YouTube. So,
This
but
was a
Marwan,
pleasure,
thanks a
man.
lot for joining us,
Thank you so
and
much. I
wish you
really
all the
appreciate it.
best.
Thank you.
And we will have your profiles, your links, all in the show notes. So, guys,
Yes.
just go and check out, follow Marwan. He's doing a great job. We wish him all the successes, and
Thank
we'll
you.
definitely stay in touch, man.
And hopefully I'll come back in 1 year and things will be very different.
Great, great. I hope so too. Wish you all the best,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.